Assalamu alaikum, my dear brothers and sisters. In life, we sometimes face difficult times, periods of doubt or loss. However, there is a promise, a word from Allah, that assures us that even when everything seems to be over, a new phase is about to arrive. This truth is expressed in the Quran, where Allah says, "Be still, it has come to an end. Something unusual is coming your way." These words remind us that trials, uncertain times, and difficult periods have an end, and that an unexpected blessing is about to come. His divine promise encourages patience, faith, and trust in Allah. In this video, we will explore this idea of ending and renewal in Islam. We will see how Allah guides us through life's difficulties and how He assures us that after every trial, there is always a new opportunity, a new beginning. As we explore this, we will discover the essential teachings of the Quran and the Hadith that help us understand this divine message and how we can apply it in our daily lives. Stay with us to discover how, in the darkest times, it is possible to find light and hope through faith in Allah. Before starting this video, do not forget to like this video because it gives us a lot of strength to continue sharing beneficial content. And I invite you to subscribe to our channel and activate the notification bell to stay informed of our upcoming publications on the Islamic faith. Thank you, and good video. 2. The meaning of the verse. The verse or quote, "Be still. It has come to an end. Something unusual is coming your way," evokes a great spiritual truth that resonates deeply in the Islamic faith. Every ending marks the beginning of something new. In Islam, this idea is directly linked to how believers should approach life's trials and difficult times. The first word, "be still," is a call for serenity in the face of adversity. It encourages believers to remain calm and maintain their faith in Allah, even when circumstances seem dire or uncontrollable. This inner peace is essential because it allows us to remain focused on the wisdom of Allah, who knows better than we do what is good for us. Remaining calm does not mean inaction or indifference, but rather a state of mind where trust in Allah is paramount. This echoes the idea of the Quran in Surah. Say, "Nothing can reach us except what Allah has ordained for us. He is our master." The verse continues with, "It has come to an end," a profound statement that reminds us that all things must come to an end. Life's trials, no matter how difficult, are not eternal. They have a beginning and an end. And Allah's promise is that even in difficulty, there is a divine purpose behind every event. In the Quran, Allah tells us in Surah Al-Inshirah 94:5, "Because with difficulty there is also ease. So every moment of suffering, doubt or fear is followed by relief, a deliverance that is part of the divine plan." Finally, the last part of the verse, "Something unusual is coming your way," gives us hope and faith. This refers to the possibility of a blessing or unexpected change that will come as relief after a period of hardship. In Islam, this refers to the notion of barakah, blessing, which often comes unexpectedly. What is initially perceived as a trial may actually be the prelude to a divine reward. It is mentioned in Surah At-Tawbah 9:40, "Do not be afraid. Allah is with us." This verse also reminds us that change is part of the natural cycle of life. Believers should keep in mind that after every period of crisis or difficulty, Allah prepares an unexpected blessing. Events can be disruptive, but every trial leads to spiritual and personal renewal. The key lies in faith and patience, waiting for the moment when something unusual and positive manifests in our lives. 3. Islamic interpretation of the end of a cycle. From an Islamic perspective, the end of a cycle, whether it be a trial, a difficult period, or a phase of life, is always seen as a transition to something better. This view is centered on the fundamental belief that life consists of successive cycles of hardship and blessing, struggle and victory, all orchestrated by the infinite wisdom of Allah. In this section, we will explore this idea and how Islam encourages us to view the end of a cycle not as a negative event, but as a time of renewal and change. Islam teaches that every trial one goes through is part of God's plan, and that it is intended to purify the soul and refine the character of the believer. It is in this context that the end of each difficulty is seen as a step towards spiritual renewal. The Quran says in Surah Al-Baqarah 2:286, Allah does not burden any soul beyond its capacity. It reminds us that even in times when we feel that everything is coming to an end, we are still able to face the trial and that there is a way out that comes after it. One of the greatest illustrations of this dynamic of ending and beginning is found in the events of the life of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. A striking example is the difficult period of the migration, Hijrah, from Mecca to Medina. This seemed to be an end for the Muslim community in Mecca, an abandonment of the holy city and a break with the past. However, this end was the beginning of the prosperity of Islam in Medina, a period of spiritual renewal and consolidation of the Muslim community. In the Quran, Allah tells us in Surah Al-Anfal 8:30, "And they plotted, and Allah plotted, and Allah is the best of plotters." This shows that even the most difficult events are often a preparation for a better future, and that behind every ending lies a new beginning. The principle of end and renewal is also evident in the lives of other prophets and in the stories Allah revealed in the Quran. For example, the story of Prophet Joseph, who endured multiple trials, from being abandoned by his brothers to being falsely accused by his master's wife, seems to mark the end of each stage of his life. But each trial turned into a moment of elevation until he became a leader in Egypt and reconciled with his brothers. This demonstrates that even in the worst of times, Allah prepares the way for a greater and more beneficial outcome, both for the believer and the community. From this perspective, every end in a Muslim's life is merely a passage to a new blessing, a transformation. This is why Islam encourages the believer to remain steadfast in his faith and patience, sabr, in the face of challenges. The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "When a believer is struck by calamity, he should remember that whatever happens to him is an opportunity for his good, that he may find patience or accept the trial with gratitude." Sahih Muslim. The idea of the end of a cycle and the arrival of something unusual, an unexpected blessing, is also linked to the notion of barakah, blessing. In the Quran, Allah says in Surah At-Tawbah 9:51, "Say, nothing can reach us except what Allah has ordained for us. He is our master." This underlines the fact that despite the appearance of trial, we must not lose hope, because everything that happens is part of God's plan, and every difficulty carries within it the potential for a blessing to come. 4. The importance of patience and faith in Allah. Islam places great importance on patience, sabr, and faith, iman, especially when a believer faces unexpected difficulties and changes. The Quran and Hadith teach us that even in times of suffering, believers must maintain their faith and trust in Allah, knowing that everything that happens is ordained by Him and is part of His divine plan. In this section, we will explore why patience and faith are essential qualities to cultivate, especially when faced with times of transition or difficulty in life. One of the most significant verses of the Quran in this regard is, "O you who believe, seek help in patience and prayer. Indeed, Allah is with those who are patient." Surah Al-Baqarah 2:153. This verse reminds us that in times of stress, pain, or loss, patience is a form of worship. Seeking patience is a way to draw closer to Allah and strengthen one's relationship with Him. It involves remembering that trials are temporary and that the end of every difficult period is always followed by the promise of ease, as the Quran indicates in Surah Ash-Shar 94 verse 6. "Verily, After hardship comes ease. Patience in Islam is not simply about enduring pain or suffering without giving in to rebellion. It is about remaining calm and trusting in Allah, accepting His will, but seeking solutions to overcome difficulties. Islamic patience is also linked to gratitude, as the believer is encouraged to view each trial as an opportunity to purify their soul and draw closer to Allah. The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "The believer, whether male or female, is in a state of well-being as long as they remain calm in the face of trial and are patient." Sahih Muslim. This hadith underscores the idea that patience is not only a form of passive resistance, but also an active quality that allows the believer to grow spiritually. In times of transition, when something unusual happens in our lives, whether it be loss, failure, or a radical change, it is crucial not to give in to fear or anxiety. The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, set an example of unwavering trust in Allah in difficult times. During the Hijrah period, when he was forced to flee Mecca, his enemy was all around him, yet he maintained great faith in Allah, and he reassured his companions by saying, "Do not be sad, Allah is with us." Al-Kahf. This demonstrates that even in the most hopeless situations, we should never lose hope, for Allah is always by our side and knows what is best for us. Faith in Allah is what enables believers to overcome life's challenges with serenity and confidence. It teaches us that everything that happens, whether moments of joy or pain, is part of Allah's plan, and that everything has a purpose. Even when we don't immediately understand the reason for a trial, faith assures us that there is divine wisdom behind every event, that Allah is the best of planners, and that He does not allow any suffering without benefit. The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, also explained that for a believer, even trials and difficulties have spiritual rewards. In a hadith narrated by Sahih Muslim, he said, "No misfortune befalls a believer, nor pain, nor worry, nor sorrow, nor illness, but Allah will reward him for it, or his sin will be erased." This hadith shows that every difficulty faced with faith and patience is an opportunity to purify one's heart, erase one's sins, and draw closer to Allah. Faith and patience go hand in hand. Patience without faith becomes resignation, while faith without patience can become frustration. Together, these two qualities create spiritual balance, allowing the believer to navigate life's challenges with confidence, and this principle is essential. When unexpected events arise in a believer's life, they must remain calm and trust in Allah, knowing that after every difficulty, a blessing can emerge. In practice, it is advisable to strengthen one's faith and patience through prayer, salat, remembrance of Allah, and supplication, dua. These practices help maintain a constant connection with Allah, reminding us that He alone has control over our destiny. The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, taught that even in times of great difficulty, one should continue to pray and seek Allah's mercy. He said, "Prayer is the key to serenity." Sahih Muslim. Thus, patience and faith are the cornerstones that allow believers to face difficult times with calm and confidence, awaiting with hope the renewal that Allah's promise guarantees us. This invites us to take a broader perspective on trials, understanding that they are often a passage to a better version of ourselves and to a greater closeness to Allah. 5. Examples of unexpected changes in Islamic history. 2,500 to 3,000 characters. Objective: to illustrate with historical examples how unexpected events have led to significant changes. Islamic history is replete with examples where unexpected changes have profoundly altered the course of events, leading to spiritual, social, and political transformations. These examples demonstrate that even in the face of difficulties and unexpected transitions, believers must have faith in the wisdom of Allah, knowing that after every trial there is always an opportunity for renewal. One of the most striking examples of unexpected change is the conquest of Mecca. Initially, the Muslims in Mecca faced intense persecution from the Quraysh, and it seemed that all hope of achieving a peaceful outcome was lost. But when they were forced to leave Mecca for Medina during the Hijrah, an unexpected event occurred. The city finally surrendered without a fight. The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, and his companions returned to Mecca, but instead of seeking revenge, they chose to forgive, thus transforming a situation of conflict into one of peace. This reversal of fortune marked a turning point in the history of Islam, strengthening its position and consolidating the Muslim community. Another powerful example is the story of the Islamization of the Sassanid Empire during the reign of Caliph Umar ibn al-Khattab. The Sassanid Empire, one of the largest empires of the time, seemed untouchable by the emerging Muslim armies. However, following unexpected battles such as that of Qadisiyah, the Sassanid Empire collapsed, allowing Islam to spread rapidly to Persia and other parts of Central Asia. This radical change disrupted the geopolitics of the time and profoundly influenced the history of Islam. This reversal was seen as a divine blessing, proving that Allah can accomplish improbable things happen when believers have faith in Him and commit themselves to His cause. These historical examples illustrate that even in the face of difficult times and unexpected changes, it is possible to find blessings and opportunities for transformation. In Islam, belief in Allah's ability to change our fate is paramount. The believer must always maintain hope that Allah, the best of planners, brings about changes far greater than we can imagine. Patience, perseverance, and faith in God's plan are the keys to overcoming challenges and discovering unexpected blessings along the way. 6. Reaction to the unexpected in personal life. In daily life, we all face unexpected events, whether professional challenges, family upheavals, or difficult personal situations. Sometimes these events can seem unsettling, even overwhelming. But through Islam, we learn to respond to the unexpected with calm, faith, and patience. These are the qualities that help us overcome challenges and see every difficult situation as an opportunity for renewal. The first step in responding to the unexpected is to maintain a strong relationship with Allah. When we are faced with unforeseen situations, it is essential to remember that everything that happens is part of God's plan. The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, taught that the trials we go through are a form of purification and a means to achieve greater closeness to Allah. Every difficulty, no matter how great, carries within it a teaching and a lesson. When you are in a difficult time, remember that, as Allah says in Surah Al-Baqarah 286, Allah does not burden any soul beyond its capacity. This promise reminds us that we have the strength to overcome whatever comes our way, even if we don't immediately understand the purpose of the trial. The second crucial step is to cultivate patience, sabr. Patience does not mean simply waiting for the test to pass, but rather remaining calm and trusting in Allah while showing perseverance. In the Quran, Allah tells us in Surah Al-Baqarah 253, "Seek help in patience and prayer." This emphasizes that patience is not only a state of mind, but also an action. One must be active in one's pursuit of patience through prayer, supplication, and gratitude, even in difficult times. When an unexpected event occurs, the initial reaction may be to feel lost or helpless. However, faith in Allah teaches us that there is never a hopeless situation. The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, taught us to remain positive and not to despair, even in the face of hardship. In a hadith, he said, "How wonderful is the case of the believer, for he is always in an advantageous situation. If something pleasant happens to him, he is grateful and it benefits him. And if something unpleasant happens to him, he is patient and it benefits him." Sahih Muslim. This hadith shows that how we react to events, whether with gratitude or patience, influences how we will fare. Another way to respond to the unexpected is to seek to understand the deep reasons behind each ordeal. Although we may not always be able to immediately understand why we are facing certain difficulties, we can be sure that Allah has a reason behind every event. It is therefore important to continue to question ourselves, to reflect on trials, and to remember that, even if they seem unfair or incomprehensible, they are there to purify our hearts and bring us closer to Allah. Finally, it is essential to stay open to change. Life is a constant flow of transitions and changes. Sometimes unexpected changes can be blessings in disguise, bringing us new perspectives, new opportunities, and new beginnings. Accepting that life is not always predictable helps us navigate its tumult with a more serene and open outlook. It is by embracing these changes that we can grow and evolve while remaining firm in our faith. In summary, when the unexpected strikes, it's important to remember that, even in times of difficulty, Allah is always by our side. Patience, prayer, and searching for the deeper meaning of each trial not only allow us to overcome these moments, but also to emerge stronger from them. These principles are essential for dealing with the unexpected in daily life, and they help us transform challenges into opportunities for spiritual and personal growth. 7. Conclusion. In conclusion, the central message of this reflection is clear. Every trial, every difficulty, every unexpected change is part of God's great plan. In Islam, we learn that patience, faith, and trust in Allah are the keys to overcoming trials. When an unexpected event occurs in our lives, it is essential to remain calm, keep faith in Allah, and believe that, even in suffering, something greater and more beneficial is in preparation. Allah's promise is one of ease after hardship, and He guides us through life's ups and downs, providing us with an opportunity for spiritual purification and renewal after each trial. We have seen this throughout Islamic history, the lives of the prophets, and the teachings of the Quran.